In the top left playing Emeric, we have Billy versus Fadedsun playing Mercia. So we've gone from people that kind of spawn units, who've got like different factions, to a more kind of like, I guess, like early campaign matchup. These are like two of the first characters you get introduced to. So.
Hmm. Yeah, it's always like you could. Some people, I mean, there's an argument to say that Emeric and Mercia do similar things. Because like basic, basically Emeric kind of prevents your units from taking some damage, and Mercia heals the damage they take. But I find they play very differently.
Yeah, and honestly, like Emeric's a much. I would say Emeric's a higher skill feeling character, especially to play against. It's much harder to play against than Emeric, I found. Whereas Mercia, it's more about you just kill their units and can't really do much. Wow, Fadedsun's taking a really aggressive route with Mercia here.
Yep, he did it with Greenfinger too, and this time Billybones. I like this more than what he did last time, where he like ended up with Valder on the other side. This time he wants to be aggressive with his commander, and I think, especially with Valder and Emric, this is way better. And I really like what Fadedsun is doing here. He's like, people don't really talk about it, but you can kind of ignore counterattack damage from villages with your swords if you're Mercia. Although maybe not here because the sword might die. But
The idea is that, especially you can ignore counterattack damage from villages with Mercia, because you are just going to be able to heal it up. Ooh. That said, like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, you know, like, that's like a bunch of damage, but the knight is also going to get like Mercia's just going to hit that knight for free, and she can
yep.
because like that's kind of Mercia's thing, right? Is one of her few strengths is being able to brawl a lot early game and not care as long as she doesn't fall into like really low health. Like if she goes down to like 20 or 10%, you can be in a lot of danger, but as long as she's like 40 or 50%, she's fine, she's happy.
Ooh, I really like this crystal placement, but I'm not sure if it's actually gonna work. Because the units aren't exactly there yet. But
Yeah, also
I think it's a very good like idea. If it works, he might win the game off of it. But if it doesn't, well, he's gonna lose a few units. So I guess it's not that bad. But he'll
I
lose quite a bit of tempo.
I thought there was going to be
Fadedsun
an attack
actually,
here, but
yeah, respecting Emeric maybe a little too much.
but you know, this is a dragon out here now, and like,
Yeah, I guess he didn't have the right units to deal with Crystal.
yeah, and then, like one of the things that can happen here as well is that Mercia's army can attack into the crystal and take unfavorable trades, and then she can just heal them. So that is an option that's available.
Ooh, that Harpy getting some chip. I guess the sword was there to prevent Mercia from getting surrounded.
Alright, and now we're gonna see the big counterattack take place. And like some of these injured units on the edges, those are gonna go down first. Ooh, big knight coming in. And more units there. Like there's, as long as there's like two sides open, even using a dragon to finish off the dog there. Probably should have used the dragon first if that was going to be the case, but 4% damage on that knight isn't going to be too significant at the moment, at least.
Yeah, he just wants more value from his Mercia group.
And I mean, this is like one of the issues with Emeric, right? Is like, okay, you've got your army under crystal, but if your opponent can kill enough of it, then it's just like they don't really care that they're fighting into a mountain if they can take a really good attack.
Yeah, like as Emeric, you need to be on the edge of uh, being aggressive, so that your opponent can't really ignore your army, but you can't be too aggressive because then your army just dies and your crystal doesn't provide defense if there's no units.
And if you can kind of break down those couple front lines, then no more crystal.
Yep. I think Fadedsun handled the crystal pretty well.
Ooh, we gonna see a lethal attempt here.
Oh, it could happen. Emeric is next to the river.
Oh, there's a sword crit here as well. Oh, wow, he's dead.
Wow.
And
He actually get would have liked seeing the full health sword crit suicide first, but yeah, that works. Gets the lethal.
that is that's like pulling it out of the hat, right? Like, oh wow. I'm so impressed actually. That was a really good lethal. And not only was that a good lethal, but it also was a good lethal where a lot of army damage came down first. So like, let's say that sword crit failed and like it survived. Like, you would just go, like, Mercia would just kill a whole
Yeah.
bunch of the army. Like, it would have been
That's
fine.
true. Like the main. I guess that's why he went for the low HP sword crit first. It's a lower commitment.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess depending on how much damage that does, also influences how much damage the follow-up will do. Or follow-up will take, even. So if the low health one does too much damage, then you don't go for the follow-up one. But if you get a low roll...
Too little. Too little.
Oh, too little isn't too bad, but yeah. It's a low commitment throwing an injured sword and sacrificing that. But yeah, really well played by Fadedsun.
Yeah. I think he handled the crystal pretty well. Like his army wasn't ready to deal with the crystal, I feel. The turn Billybones placed it. So I guess that was a good crystal, but then he front switched everything over there.
Yeah, and I guess
well,
like if you're Billy, actually, you kind of just want to pull back at that point. Like if your opponent's
Yeah.
respecting you that much, then you could just like slam into their south side. You know, that's your weaker front, but if you can do a bit of damage down there, then all of a sudden it looks better. But
Yep. And as Emeric, you're fast groove, so you don't lose too much from abandoning a crystal.
yeah, and you can even set up the counter attack if they try and pick the crystal off. But yeah, really well played by Faded. Billy, I guess, like, made a call and went for it, and this is how everybody learns, how we all improve. So yeah,
Much better idea in game 2 than in game 1, I think.
yeah, it's very true. Okay, well, we're gonna go into the next set then.
Alright. This will probably